hang on one sec. I have to also record, don't I? Hi.
Hi, how
Mm,
are you?
I'm good. I'm flew in last night, so still settling in, still unpacking,
Got it.
reacquainting, but feeling pretty good today. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. Like I'm actually thinking about that question. I'm like, yeah, I'm feeling pretty good. Have, some things going on, which is normal. Um, but I'm feeling good going into 2021.
Yeah.
Despite everything, because there's been so much. Um, and I'm not like bypassing, it's not what I want to do. But I feel like I'm in a really good place
Hmm.
for me.
Yeah.
Going into 2021, I'm like, bring it. Like whatever happens, let's bring it and bring it all and welcome it and purge what I don't need and bring in what I do want to need and manifest and yeah. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, it's good.
I'm hearing trust in that.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like
that's a big
self trust, trusting life, trusting the dance. Yeah.
all of it.
Mm.
Yeah,
Mm.
yeah. And how are you, my dear? And how was the rest of your visit?
It was lovely. It was just the medicine I needed, just slowing down, really off the grid as it relates to opening my laptop or doing too much. Had the call with you and a call with another friend, but really kept the spaciousness of vacation time in there. And then just realizing like, A, how much work my parents and I have done on ourselves to make that really a safe harbor, launching pad, like harmonious vibe. Um, and busting some myths, I think. I was finding these recalibrations happening, I think I shared last time, of just being so loved, being doted on, being cared for. And like my parents have always had that really affectionate, like, just like leave you a blanket because you look cold, or just those little things that mean a lot to me. And it made me realize, this place that I get triggered in partnership where it's like, oh, I'm not loved, I'm not cared for. It's like such a myth. It's such a myth. And that's what I'm leaving in 2020 is that part in me that goes, oh, I'm not loved, because I am so loved. And it's kind of undeniable between, being at my parents' house and then coming home to someone who's put flowers out and made the home look sweet and pre-made meals because like I would be tuckered out, and just being like, wow, whether I'm there or here, like I cannot keep spinning the story that I'm not cared about. So that feels huge for me, like quiet, seismic, to be like, yeah, we're not gonna play that game, to the best of my ability, obviously, because I'm
Mhm.
still a messy human at times. But
Right.
but it was a huge like shift inside of
Mhm.
like, you know, even looking back on my childhood and being like, maybe my memory of it is very skewed, right? And where I thought like, oh, 90% of the time I didn't get what I want. It's like, yeah, I'm watching these human beings who are really bringing it.
Mhm.
And I imagine we're bringing it back then, but like, what stories were I in? So yeah, it
Mhm.
like I'm still processing that, but it's like, it's sinking into my bones in a way.
Yeah.
Mm.
I love the idea of leaving behind
Mhm.
the things that we don't want or need anymore or aren't serving us. Leave them in 2020 and bring what we want to manifest into 2021.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
almost like, if you're taking a ship across from one shore to another, it's like, do you need everything that's in that boat, or can you leave some stuff on this shore?
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
for me, I often look at like habits, behaviors, beliefs.
Mhm.
I'm not like a huge New Year's resolution, like, cool, I'm going to do X, Y, and Z, but like, what can I really say I'm good without?
Mhm.
What about you? Is there something that comes to mind or heart when you think of that?
Yeah. Yeah. So, as you know, I've been purging, like physically doing some physical purging. And what's fascinating about that is that I didn't really I didn't consciously think of it as me preparing
Mm.
to bring in, like, to make room for,
Mhm.
and also to prepare for my move,
Right. In the next year.
maybe in the next 6 months. Who knows, right? Like, just to prepare for my move, because as many people, I have moved stuff. That's what it is. It's crap. Like, unnecessarily moved because I didn't want to take the time to get rid of it. Moved it from one location to another, and I'm like, no, nope. I'm purging. I'm getting rid of it. I can't anymore. It's just I'm too old. I'm too smart for that. I
Hmm.
change that. I'm not too old. I'm too smart.
I like that.
I'm
Yeah.
too smart to not to go and do my old ways.
Yeah.
And then pardon me. And then the other thing, so I've done, I think we've talked about doing words for 2021 or a phrase or something. I have to get out my journal. So I feel like we haven't talked in weeks, although we talked every week, because there's so much.
There's
But
always stuff moving for us. Yeah.
it's really exciting, isn't it? Um, so my words for 2021 are sacred living and manifesting,
Mm.
generosity. Um, I'm also carrying over from 2020. So something I am bringing with me is the words divine manifesting or divine abundance. I want to still bring that with me because that's a continuum, right?
Mhm.
And then I was also I had a support group earlier this morning online, and I just said, I was talking about this, and I said, I'm feeling like intuitively, I'm feeling that spirit has something else for me, like another word indirectly related to this.
Mm.
And I'm just gonna sit. I'm just gonna wait and use the pause, be patient, and let it manifest, because that's how this all works.
Yeah.
It's just the way that it works.
Yeah. I actually wrote the term sacred living yesterday on the plane on my way
Oh,
back. So I was like, maybe I was feeling you or something.
I love that.
Yeah. Because I was thinking about, what it is to have like baseline living, right? Like just the caged or comfortable life where it's like autopilot, whatever. And it's like, what does it take for it
Yeah,
to become sacred? Because it is sacred,
it is for
you know?
sure. Yeah.
Yeah. And I love divine abundance. I actually feel relief and ease because of those words together,
Mhm.
right? It's not the kind of forced abundance or the prosperity language that starts to get sketchy for
Yeah.
me. But like, yeah, divine abundance feels really harmonious too.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm. I
Yeah.
like that. I'm going to sit with that tonight, see if anything comes. Yeah. Thank
Yeah.
you. Thank you for sharing that. That's really cool.
Yeah, you're welcome.
It's a
You're
cool ritual
welcome.
to have.
Yes. And I don't even remember how it came into my life. I don't.
Hmm.
Um, Actually, I think there's someone that I was working with a couple years ago, um, as a business coach, and I was also doing some group therapy with her, group processing with her, and I think it was her, I'm pretty sure it was her that suggested, because I think just wherever the concept of New Year's resolutions came about,
Yeah,
this is how I feel about it. I'm like, what? It feels so big. And I
pressured.
also, what?
I feel pressure around it.
I feel a lot of pressure around it. So when this woman, suggested a word, I was like, I can do a word.
Yeah.
Like that feels so good in my soul. It feels the right thing. It feels very right to my soul, to my spirit. And I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna. So anyway, it's been a practice now for, I would say, at least 3 or 4 years, and I'm just grateful that it is as easy as it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it just feels good. Like it feel like you were saying in your bones. It feels good in my bones. Like
Mm.
I just want to have more. it just it really settles in the right way. Yeah,
Yeah, I'm also hearing like the freedom it provides is because it's the essence, not the form,
totally. Yeah,
right? And the form, when people are like, "Oh, I want to, I don't know, lose 70 pounds by March," or all these great goals that have a very pressurized, in my opinion, set, because if the form is not met, right, that metrics, then there's fallout. And I think that's what people feel with a New Year's resolution, or at least I do, I'll speak for myself, is like, if I don't meet that goal, I might abandon myself or judge myself or shame myself.
right.
So it almost doesn't make sense to make it that way. But to have it be like, oh, I want harmony and intimacy and affection and like purpose, like there are so many tributaries that can lead you to that.
Yeah,
So it leaves room for play and like divine orchestrations and things
yeah,
you can't strategize and put on a timeline,
right.
as we've learned. Right?
Absolutely. Yeah,
It leaves room for like, I think I used to have this idea of like, okay, I'm going to do A and then I'm going to do B, then I'm going to do C, and wanting to see the whole horizon, right? Just my need for security, safety. But yet sometimes C was meeting someone at a coffee shop who happened to be behind me, who happened to have an instrument, who happened to be a musician, and I couldn't have planned C, right? And then that opened up meeting D and F and E, whatever. Like, so there's almost like a yielding, a great yielding that has to happen to just be okay with, this is the essence of what I want.
uh-huh.
And actually, I'm going to assert it's probably more fruitful because you're not actually closing out other options,
Right.
thinking it's got to be this.
Yeah,
Does that make sense?
yeah, totally makes sense. Um, so leaving behind things that don't work for me,
Mm.
I would say the word and the meaning behind unworthiness
Mm-hmm.
and undeserving. I'm like, that has to go in the garbage and outside and let the garbage men take it. Like it's gotta leave my life. And and what I have shared with you the abundance that has showed up in my life this year. And I'm just like, again, I'm humbled by it, but I'm astounded. I'm like, wow, this really works. Like to believe in and to have faith. I'm like, yeah, there's something really to this. There's something to be said about this. And the other thing that I really want to work on is to have less doubt,
Mm.
and to continue to just sort of let my faith flourish in the what if. Like what if it shows up? Like what if? How awesome is that going to be? Because not only what if, but it will. Yeah.
Yeah. Not even a matter of if, but a matter of when to some degree.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, I love
Yeah.
knowing that about you. It's not something I would have necessarily gathered on my own, like, and that you would have some doubt, because I do see you really having that faith walk often.
Mhm.
Um, But I love that you're very clear on what you're throwing what you're giving to the trash guy.
Yes. And I will tip him big to get it out. Take it away.
The cosmic trash man, right? That could be like our Santa Claus. Like that could be,
Yes.
right? Like, what do
Yes.
you want to give like the cosmic trash guy to take, just to get out of your energy field?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the unworthiness piece feels like a common thread for a lot of people.
Mhm.
And I'm always curious how we get there, how we got there, but more importantly, like letting it go.
Yeah.
I think for me, that's the piece that's like, oh, I'm not lovable, I'm not loved, I'm not cared for. And everywhere around me, I think this is the universe is like bullshit, like big bullshit. So now what? Are you going to still run with that ball or are you going to let it go?
Mhm.
You know? Yeah. And what's possible, right? Like I think that's the place of curiosity I have, for everyone. Like what's possible for you if you let go of all the flavors of unworthiness
Mhm.
and as much as humanly possible any doubt of delay on stuff. What's
Mhm.
possible?
Just putting that question out there, just like my heart flutters. I'm like, oh my God, it's so exciting. It's so exciting to think about the possibilities. I just love that. Yeah.
Yeah. And what it would provide you on a day to day in terms of your energy, not having any of it leaking into
Right.
that stuff. But
Yeah.
then, like, what's possible if you're just like wide eyed and bushy tailed and like just looking for, the universe's breadcrumbs instead of like that feels like a treasure hunt,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
instead of a like, will I find the egg or whatever? Like,
Mhm.
hmm.
Mhm. Yeah.
I also think of, for me personally, if I don't fall into that place, I'm holding my heart because I can feel it like, oh, he doesn't care. I'm not loved. The little shit spiral that can happen. I am likely going to avoid a lot of conflicts that I create when I feel that way.
Mhm. Mhm.
And like that means more intimacy and harmony, which I'm feeling are two of my words.
Mm. Yeah.
And I was reading, it was Gay Hendrix's book. I think it's The Big Leap. My
Okay.
business coach gave it to me. And the bottom line of the book, which I think I would want to read again, is upper limiting,
Say more.
right? So I used to call it a bliss cap. Like we all have our thermometer set at a certain amount of happiness and whatever, whatever, just from how we're wired and our history. And so even he was talking about even conflict with one's partner being like an upper limiting problem. Like, oh, I've had enough of the harmony, the happiness, the ease. Like now I need to drop back to like this other setting. It resonated with me because, how do I put it? I feel like there's so much more that I could feel, and I feel a lot, but I feel like there's a whole other door, if you will, I haven't gone through. And I notice like when I can only speak for Richard and I, when we've had a lot of harmony and intimacy and closeness and tenderness, like inevitably there's a fight quite soon after that,
Oh.
right? And it's sort of like, oh, we got really, really close. Now we gotta poke at it a little.
Mm.
And upper limiting could be something in someone's career. Someone gets to a certain point, reaches a certain amount of success and sabotages it with poor behavior, criminal behavior. Like it could
Yeah.
be any of those things, but it kind of all comes back to like, I'm only worth living at this
Yeah.
place. And if I start reaching up here and can't hold the frequency, I'm gonna go back to here.
Mhm.
It was brilliant. I don't know that I'm explaining it well because I read it
I
on the
think
plane, but
no, I think you are. It
yeah,
makes total sense to me. Yeah. Because I mean, I know that I've done it. Yeah, I've done it. I've self sabotaged in one way or another, whether it was a relationship or a job or an opportunity. And I'm like, what is that about, Heidi? It really makes me take a much deeper look at me and into me. Like, talk about
Mhm.
intimacy. Like, that's intimate to have that real honest conversation with self. It's hard, but it's also so important. I'm like, you need to hold the mirror up this close, and to really look at yourself, because that shit ain't pretty, but it's important to look at.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly, and
Mm.
it's sort of how we all do it, I think in my 20s was like, "One day when dot, 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 then I'll do dot, dot, dot," and so I watch for that one, you know? Um, I think upper limiting, it's such an interesting concept of, like, we're the one bringing ourselves back to a
Uh-huh.
comfortable preset, because the next thing is, like, a higher watermark level, and it takes time to cultivate, I'm gonna say energetically, that
Uh-huh.
frequency to hold it, right?
Yeah.
Even something that said in the book, like 60% of lottery winners end up back at their same financial issues or even worse. And
Yeah.
it's like they can't actually hold, I'm calling it like not being able to hold that higher frequency.
Yeah.
How it feels to me like there's a lighter, higher frequency, and yet it's like our gravity can pull us.
Yeah.
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 It's interesting that you brought this up, because in the last week or so, last few days, especially last week or so, there's been quite a bit of forward momentum in my 350 project.
Uh-huh.
And yeah, and I've been workshopping a name for it. And right now, what is in discuss it's who am I in discussion with? No one really, because I can do what I want, right? um the name that I've come up with right now is Project Mitzvah
Mm.
5D Living.
Wow.
Powerful, right?
Well, 5D living is just,
I know. I know.
damn, that's an invitation.
And I finally shared it with some family. My sister, we've talked a little bit about it. And also I sent, so I did a video, because I just thought it's going to be like, for me to tell my story over and over, like, I lose excitement, I lose interest. So I did a video. And so I sent it to my sister. We've talked about it. I sent it to my brother and my sister-in-law. Now, I don't know if I've shared with you anything about my brother, but this is his wheelhouse. He does fundraising for nonprofits. That's what he does. And he's very good at it. And he just, like, it's his passion. So for me to potentially work with someone, that I know I can trust, and
Mhm.
um, will have my back and all that good stuff. So anyway, I sent it to him and my sister-in-law. My sister-in-law is just one of those people that's very well-rounded. She's literally traveled the world several times over, done a lot of done a lot of good in the world, and has had her hands in a lot of different projects. She sat on different boards. So for both of them, I wouldn't want them on the same board, because you don't want a couple on the same board. Um, but I do, I at least want their input. Um, so that's been kind of taking up some mental energy of mine. Um, and I'm also realizing that, and then the other thing that I was just like, I'm exhausted. Like, this is tiring.
Mm.
Like, I want it to be fun, and it's fun, and I'm excited about it. But I'm also just like, oh, this is exhausting. It takes a lot of energy to move the parts, to keep the parts moving, and to keep people engaged.
Right.
and stuff. And so I'm realizing the importance, again, the importance of the pause. Okay, so I put a little bit out there, I'm going to sit. Put a little bit out there, I'm going to sit. Like that is, it's vital. It's really vital, you know. Um, yeah, that pause, I just can't say enough about it. And like I had contacted 3 or 4 people to be my tech person for the well,
Mm-hmm.
and I didn't hear back from any of them. And then this morning I got a message from the first person I contacted. Actually, she's the person that I really wanted to work with.
Nice.
I know.
I love that.
I know. And I was just like, I'm putting it out there, see what happens, and see what look what happens. You know? I'm like if spirit is not showing me every day, like reiterating and reiterating, I'm like, okay, I
Oh,
think I got it. But it's also but the reminder is also really helpful. Like I will never poo-poo or turn away the reminder. I'm always welcoming the like remind me as much as you need to remind me, spirit.
yeah, and I think that also means inspire me, right? To like to keep going because what I'm hearing you
Yes.
say is while this is such a passion project for you, putting yourself out there and also keeping the wheels moving on something this I'm going to say grand, right? It is energy output. And so when you get those reminders from the universe, there's like a little, little put back into your like energetic bank, so to speak.
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's beautiful. I'm excited to hear more about that.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's so
So
cool.
anyway, that's where we are right now, you know.
Mm.
Um, because I feel like before I reach out to potential donors,
Mhm.
I think we talked about this last time. I really need to have a good solid foundation in place
And
before
your
anyone's going
vision
to be
and
like,
yeah, like
before
your
anyone's
vision
going
and
to be like, yeah,
details.
I'll give you 100 million, I'll give you 150 million, I'll give whatever, I'll give you money. I have to have a foundation. I have to have my boards. I have to have all my ducks in a row. Like I know that very clearly.
Yeah, maybe even like a business plan to some degree. It's not really a business plan because I would be starting a business, but like just like here's what this is going to look like,
Yeah.
kind of executed
Yeah.
fully.
Yeah. And I wrote part of my mission statement. Can I share it with you?
Yeah, please. I'd be honored.
Oh my God. So this might make me cry. So, and it's okay if it does, but I want to put that out there. Um, so what is that? Okay. Um, okay. Whew. To have a more loving and open heart towards those who don't look, act, seem, live, walk, talk, do things like I do. Humanity is at the center of Project Mitzvah 5D Living. And then Spirit said, this is the thesis of your mission statement. Even though a lot of this is outside of your wheelhouse, you want and need to learn about it, be educated so that you are empowered. I know. I know. I know. Like,
That feels like the right place to be when you're, panting and excited and terrified and blushing
yeah,
and all of
all
that.
of the above, all of it. Oh my God, all of it. Yeah,
I just remember the idea, Debbie used to say this of like, if you're not feeling all those things, you're probably playing small.
right,
So I always remember that when I'm sort of like huddled up somewhere not wanting to do something, the
right.
magic of being stuck sometimes like that, because it's like, oh, she was saying like if you feel comfortable, you're probably playing it safe.
Yeah,
And if you're a little bit like, this is, panting to me is like when I'm trying to take my expansion,
Right. Because
and
it is expanding.
yeah, but it's like, I've got to make the container a little bigger to take that kind of an expansion
Mhm.
in,
Mhm. Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
Mm,
I know.
oh my gosh. I can so see your vision.
Mm.
I can see it. I can see people wanting to, be those angel funders, and also being like, wow, someone's spearheading this, not from a place of like, oh, I'm gonna win the lottery and do this, but like I'm spearheading a real effort to help
Mhm.
those who really need it. Like I'm gonna essentially, it's like if each of us brought what we could that way, like what
Mhm.
a world it would be, a 5D world.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah.
Is it true for you? Like this is outside your wheelhouse and yet like you are fully committed to learning and empowering yourself through it?
I am. Yeah. Yeah. And actually, yes, and at this point, because it is bigger than me, and I really do, like, I've used the word humbled, but I really am humbled by it, by being asked to do this.
Mhm.
Um, at this point, I feel like I don't have a choice. Like, it's not even because it's not about me. I don't have a choice. Like this, I was called to do this. And that scares the crap out of me to say those words out loud. I'm like, wow, who would sign up for this, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, really, who would sign up for this? But again, I don't need to worry about that. Like that's not part of the equation. It's just this is what you're doing. This is what you've been asked to do, and I will have faith in me. Spirit saying, have faith in me, and I will give you whatever it is you need. Okay. Okay. All right. Holy shit. Oh my God. Oh.
And I'm holding too that it's entirely possible, if not probable, given the energy that you are bringing to it, like the preparing and the being called and being like, wow, I don't actually like this is a yes and move forward.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I never thought twice about it.
Hmm.
I've never, like, the only doubt that like, and I wouldn't even call it doubt. I was just like, my God, this is exhausting. Just the mental energy that I've put into it and the time and what I'm like, wow, this is exhausting. But I've never said to myself, I don't want to do this, or this is bullshit. I've never said anything like that because I know that's not true. Yeah. Yeah.
Whew.
I know.
I love that kind of alignment. It's I don't see it often, but when I see it, I recognize it.
Mhm.
Sort of the full yes.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm. Is that a 2021 project or beyond?
Beyond. I mean, yes, and beyond.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, for sure. Mhm. Like I'm feeling, yeah. I mean, I really believe that it's going to happen. Again, when, I don't know.
Mhm.
Um but there is a little bit of and I think I share this with you. There is a little bit of what's the word I'm looking for? A little bit of like there's an issue with time. Like I
Mhm.
want to make this happen sooner rather than later. Like I don't want to sit on this for 10 years and wait for it to come in. Um, because of what's happening here in Germantown, like the historical preservation, which I think I've talked a little bit about with you. Yeah. Um, so before too many properties are bought up, ripped down, and then crap put up, you know, um, I'd like to get some kind of a handle on it, just something.
Mhm.
Um, and then I figured out where I want to, like, what neighborhood I want to live in. Yeah, because I've been like, that's something I've been think, because I'm like, I want a home, I want to buy a house, and I want a home, and you know, um, and it's a neighborhood that I lived in literally 99 to 99. I was there from 99 to 04, 04, 05 ish, and oh my god, my favorite, like my favorite apartment ever. And I have, like, when I my landlord sold the building, and the person who bought it was refurbishing and going to fix up because it did need a lot of work. We all had to move out, and I mean, I literally sobbed. Like, I grieved that apartment just because it was such a great location. I mean, I just loved it, and I loved my neighbors, and
Yeah.
it was just anyway. So I drove by, I had to pick something up a couple days ago, and I'm like, this is where I want to live. Like, I knew immediately, I'm like, I'm going to buy a house here. I know this is where I'm living. I don't know what house, but I will live here. And that felt really good to get really clear about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
inspired by your clear channel to your
Mm,
intuition. That's how I'm experiencing it. Of like, oh, yep,
mhm.
that's happening. That's gonna happen.
Yeah.
It's really beautiful.
Thanks.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Mm. The magic is like I feel it. I often feel it around this time of year. I don't know if it's the collective like hopefulness of everyone going into a new year, maybe,
Mhm.
or the relief of like the holidays, just like the chillin'
Yeah.
for a couple days. Um, but I was thinking about, I've been co-writing songs this year with other songwriters, and the like it almost doesn't matter whether you make a record or not, right? It's not like someone's like, cool, a CD, right? That's not happening anymore. And just this idea, I see it with how you're building your project. Like, it can go any way I want it, in a sense. Like, one of the songs that I felt most just compelled by, and I love them all, but the one that was like, oh, this one's really pulling on my heart. I was like, well, why don't I just record this as a single? Like, just get. It doesn't really matter how you deliver music at this point. People are streaming. I don't have to wait to have 12 songs done, which can be exhausting to me. When you spend 20 days making 12 songs, and you're like, that one needs piano and that one needs background vocals, and it's like, wait, I don't have to do it that way. I could literally have like one baby for a month and just like love on it and give it everything it needs to be launched into the world, and then go to the next one and go the next one. And I've never thought to do it that way, because in the record world, it's like making an album.
Mm,
But it's been so long since I made an album. It's been like 8 years. They don't do it like, you don't have to do it that way. So as an artist, I feel really liberated, because eventually it will make a record.
yeah.
But I don't have to be like, we're tracking 5 songs today with all the musicians, and then I've got to do the vocals the next day on 5 songs. And it
Mhm,
always felt exciting and a little haphazard for me.
mhm,
Wasn't my pace.
mhm.
And now, it's especially as an independent artist, it's like I could really do this in a way that benefits me, and it's going to, in my opinion, absolutely benefit the song.
Mm,
And the magic that one can't account for is the record label I want to work with is super pricey. I mean, recording as an artist is always expensive, and the person I wrote it with is coming on as essentially like a junior producer. and her rates are incredibly affordable. And she put her heart and soul into that song. So to have her produce it for me is like a win-win-win. If that makes sense. It's not somebody who hasn't touched it who's just like, cool, let me record it. It's like someone who like shed tears in the writing of it
Oh,
alongside me, who is now choosing to be a female producer, which is absolutely where I want to head, in my life visioning, to help other people bring their art out. Um, and I was just like, I could not have, in my wildest imaginings, even thought that was possible a month ago. It wasn't on the table. She made that decision. I made the decision. I'd rather just make it a single and get it out there. It's related to social justice, so I don't want to sit on it for a year.
mhm.
And like now it's like an easy yes. It feels like, when the universe just rolls out the red carpet.
Yeah, I
Like,
do.
here you go. Well,
Yeah.
this way, please.
Oh, I love that.
And I say this just to even hear myself and remind myself, like, you can't plan it all out.
Mhm.
I kept scratching my head. How can I work with this record label? That's not a financial, like, records can take 20, $30,000, but like that doesn't sound like a good plan for
Right,
me right now,
right,
you
right.
know. But yet, how do I get this out there in a quality that is going to be compelling? My mission statement is to awaken hearts in whatever way I can, whether it's music or photography or coaching or teaching, like to just get people's hearts to stir a little. Because I really believe if you're in your heart and in your body, you're not going to harm people. If you're really in your heart, like that's how I experience it. When I'm fully in my heart, there's less of me going into scared animal and
Right.
reaction. So it's just like, whoa, what? Holy shift, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh,
Just it's like there's so much magic. That's what I'm really getting.
mhm,
Even with this cuckoo year,
mhm,
there's so much magic if you're open to it.
mhm. And if you're open to it and if you are willing to shift the way that you think about things, you know,
Mhm.
um, because I really do understand and get that it's been again, I said this at the beginning, it's been a challenging year, right? And for some people, it has been wipeout devastating. And I personally, I can't imagine. I can't. I feel very fortunate that my life is what it is and it's good,
Mhm.
you know? Um, and that doesn't mean that I haven't had my own hardships, whatever they are.
Yeah.
And those have really sucked. They've been hard and they suck. And I'm choosing because it is a choice. It's not an easy choice. And it's not like I just woke up one day and been like, I'm gonna change the way I think about this. It doesn't work like that. It takes work to change the way we think and believe and all of that.
Oh yeah.
And I'm like, I don't want to leave 2020 thinking it was the worst year ever. Because it wasn't.
Mhm.
It really wasn't. It wasn't a great year, but it wasn't a terrible year, and it wasn't the worst year ever. I mean, I've been alive for 57 years, so that might have something to do with it. But the other thing I thought about is that if we didn't have social media, and if we didn't have all of these ways of spreading this, the negative, like if we chose to spread positivity as much as we choose to spread negativity, imagine, right? And so the social media allows us to do both. And it seems to me, I mean, and anyway, I almost was ready to say, it seems to me that more people are spreading negativity, but I don't know that that's necessarily true. But I do think that adds to people's angst. They
Hmm.
see all this 2020 sucks and I want to get to 2021 and both. I'm like, it doesn't work that way. Just because we go to bed tonight and wake up tomorrow morning,
Yeah.
and we talked about this, I think, last week or the week before. It it nothing like, you have to be the change. You have to be the change. You have to have a different mindset, because if you don't, nothing is going to change.
Yeah.
Um,
I
and
love that.
so let's spread some love. Let's spread some positivity. Let's really put forth that energy, because, and I don't mean to sound woo woo or like, love and hippie and all that crap, but really, like, if that's what our intention is, like, let that be our intention
Yeah.
going
Oh,
forward. Because life is hard enough, just life in general is hard enough as it is without all the other stuff.
mm.
Yeah.
I'm with you, and I don't experience that as woo because I think of like there was this commercial years ago where the setting was inside a hospital, right? And the commercials just got people walking into elevators saying hi to each other, saying, but then you were getting what that person was going through
Mm.
kind of as a sidebar within the commercial. And the whole thing was like, a woman walks into the elevator and smiles and says hello to the person, and the guy says hi, and it says, she just got a cancer diagnosis, or he's worried about his ailing father who's in the hospital. I'm making these up, but they were similar in essence. And at the end, it was just like be kind and care for each other because we have no idea what someone else is going through. And if I can pay someone a compliment that's genuine, like, oh, I love your earrings, or, whatever,
Uh-huh.
to me, that is part of like the act of service of like, I see you, I celebrate you, and like, I'm here and I'm an ally, even if we're just in line at the store, whatever, which I'm realizing doesn't really happen anymore. But, you know,
Yeah.
just I don't think it's woo woo. I really think it's imperative that we love with conviction if we want the kind of world we say we want.
Right. Right. I think that's an important point. If we want the kind of world that we think we want, or if we are working on creating the kind of world that we want, let's really do that. Like, let's make that our intention.
Let's prototype it.
Absolutely.
Let's give it a
Yeah.
go and see what those ripple effects are.
Yeah.
I know for me, and this might sound like more lighthearted, but when I do my yoga practice, that hour ripples into that day where I'm more steady and balanced and calm. It ripples into the next day. Anyone who is, crossing my path is affected by
Sure.
the fact that I had a yoga teacher kind of bring me back into alignment for an hour.
Uh-huh.
It's just remembering like it not only does it ripple, but like how important that is, you know,
Yeah.
our offerings, whatever they are,
Right.
could be the difference between someone having road rage or not, or could be the difference between someone feeling calm during a conflict
Yeah.
and not letting it escalate or even de escalating it,
Right.
right?
Yeah. Because we never know how we're going to affect others.
Yeah.
We really don't. Yeah.
Hmm.
So the last thing, I realize that we're almost at the
Oh,
end, but the
wow.
last
Yeah.
thing I want to talk about is, if we, well, so both of us, um, like a favorite New Year's Eve memory that you have. Like, have you ever had a New Year's Eve where you're like, God, that was the best New Year's Eve ever? Or, yeah, or just like a really
Hmm.
sweet memory of a New Year's Eve, or, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I actually can't think past too many years
Okay.
when I
Okay.
think about it. Um, I would say this would probably have been 8 years ago. I had come out, I was dating someone in New York City, and we got like an Airbnb, like a beautiful brownstone, gorgeous apartment. in Brooklyn. And then for New Year's Eve, went to like a dance party, and it was like old school people, like old school R&B soul. Like I think the lady was singing and she was like 80 and she was like really powerful. Um, and like to just sort of dance the night away, but not in like a skeezy drunk meat market way, but just in like a celebratory, soulful way. Um, and then I would say probably, I feel sad because the place I'm talking about closed due to the pandemic, but there's this place called OD's in Nyack that had a lot of vegetarian vegan fare, but was like a gorgeous pub. And so Richard and I go, and we ended up getting this like very private corner in like the red room with all these cushions. Like if you just think of something that looks like red and Parisian, but has like yummy food, we kind of got our own little romantical nook and just enjoyed like a simple, quiet, sweet, like with people, communal, but like nestled,
Yeah.
which
Yeah.
is sort of my favorite way to go.
Oh.
And then walked by the water and enjoyed a lot of the lights on the bridge and stuff.
Mm,
Super simple,
yeah.
but like really, really nourishing.
Mhm.
Yeah. How
Mhm.
about you? Any New Year's stick out for you?
Yeah. So literally, this was probably 18, 19 years ago. That's how memorable it is. So I have actually, we've lost touch. So a friend of mine, um, she's a pastry chef, and her husband, even though he's not a chef, he really knows his way around the kitchen and he
Mm.
cooks like nobody's business. And I'm gonna say I think dinner started at 8:30 or something, and I got a phone call. This was before cell phone, so she didn't text me. She called me, and she said, "Hey, Chris and I are hosting a New Year's Eve dinner. Um, we want to know, it's very impromptu. You're not our last guest. That kind of thing, and we want you to come." And I'm like, okay, all right, sure. I'm like, that'd be great. Not having any idea what the evening was going to be about, right? And and there were a couple other young couples and families, and they had two young kids at the time. And I want to tell you, it was such a fun evening of just like talk about breaking bread and community together. It
Mm.
was so lovely. And the food was like top notch. And of course the wine was pouring, um I mean it was just rich in every single way. And then she had made, I don't know, like 4 or 5, 6 different desserts. So good. And I was just like, and I kept thinking to myself, okay, I know she's going to have made several desserts. I know I'm going to have to save room, blah, blah, blah. But I also wanted to taste everything he had made.
Yeah.
And then I was like, oh my God, I don't know. I can have like a bite of one thing because I had no more room left. And I'm like, I could take a bite of dessert, one bite. And then she was just like, I'm packing up a care package for you, a slice of this, a piece. And I'm like, all right. And that's what she did. It was so sweet because she's like, I don't expect you to be able to eat all this. And I'm like, no, but I want to try everything. And
Yeah.
she did. She did. And so like right around 11:30, quarter 12, we had cleared the table, and we had it was a table that, it was uh leaves to make it bigger or smaller.
Hmm.
And so we shrunk the table, and we made their dining and living room a dance floor.
Oh, I love
I'm
it.
telling you, it was so much fun. And the kids I couldn't believe these little tots were up dancing past midnight. It was hilarious. It was funny. It was fun. It was so sweet. It's really one of my favorite. It was my favorite.
I love it. It sounds
Yeah.
really wholesome too, just like this loving community getting together. last
It,
minute and enjoying each other.
it really was. It was so lovely. Yeah, it was good.
Thank
Yeah.
you for bringing that question. That's so cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And here we are, New Year's Eve. Wow.
The words that come to me are like resilience, like and
Mm,
human spirit for this year. Like really, for as brutal as it may have been for some people and as maybe comfortable as it may have been for others, like everyone had to adapt
right.
in
Yeah.
some way. I won't say everyone because maybe there's that like fisherman in Alaska that didn't, but like, like on the whole, I'm going to say the majority of this world had to adapt in some way. So yeah, that to me, like I'm like human spirit, like high five.
Yeah. Seriously. We need to really give ourselves a lot of credit, pat ourselves on the back because we've survived it.
Yeah.
We've survived something really challenging. Yeah.
And we've done some strength training
Yes, we have.
within it. Because if someone had said to me in March, this is what the year would have looked like, I feel like I would have just crumbled. Like I'm not gonna be able to handle that. And it's like,
Yeah.
no, you just left foot, right foot
Mm-hmm.
through each day.
Yeah.
And it's
One
like
step
that.
at a time. Mhm.
I love you. Thank you for doing this today, giving us another magical portal to play with.
Ah, yeah. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you. Mm,
Mm. And Happy New Year, audience. Whoever you are, whoever's watching,
yep.
best, best, best to you.
Mm. Thank you all for chilling with us this year as we explored some authentic relating and connection creating together. Mm.
Should we cheer before we?
Yeah, I didn't have a cocktail. I felt like I'm on a California time. It felt like 8 a.m.
This is not a cocktail. It's the end. First of all, it's like an ounce left, maybe 2 ounces of seltzer and cranberry.
Oh, nice. I've got cacao.
Nice. Cheers. Cha-ching.
Cheers.